Hi folks, welcome to a slightly chilly Saturday afternoon here in sunny Spain, and I'm feeling good. Is that a song? Aretha Franklin? I think it is. Okay, so in this video I'm going to talk about my experience buying my first home here in Spain. And by the way, it's something I was initially daunted by, thinking about the whole process, what was involved, not knowing much about or anything about residency laws and legal requirements. However, I've been shocked, literally shocked, at how easy the process has been for me, honestly. And as I'll explain in a little bit more detail shortly, there is a reason why it was so easy, and it's a reason I hadn't understood when originally researching the process of moving and buying a property here in Spain. I watched loads of videos and read loads of articles about the process, and it hadn't really been made clear to me throughout that research that I personally didn't really have to do very much at all, as I'll explain. But before I get into details, I'm going to explain a little bit about why I decided to make this particular video in the first place. You know, as my channel's grown, I get asked an increasing amount of questions, and of all the questions I get relating to this topic, the vast majority are from people either considering buying or actually going to buy, in the process, starting the process of buying a property here. And it dawned on me fairly recently that the vast majority of responses that I give to people are very similar, regardless of what the question is. Basically, I find myself most of the time telling them that they don't need to worry about this, that or the other, or that gets taken care of for you, and that sort of answer. Meaning that a lot of times people are worrying unnecessarily about things they just don't need to worry about, but you just don't know any better whenever you're making these big decisions, whenever you're thinking about things like this. Most people, for example, people in Belfast, people from where I come from who decide to move to Spain, it's a massive thing, and you just really don't know what to expect, no matter how much you research. And you know, that's how I was initially thinking before I set off in this whole process. I was a bit daunted, and although I was always going to proceed no matter what, no matter how daunting it was, that's my nature, I know now that there are a lot of people out there wanting to buy, but not doing so, or stalling, because they think it's going to be very complicated, maybe a bit beyond them or something like that, and it isn't. And by the way, for anyone starting the process, this is to let them know they can relax. That's why I'm making this video, mainly straightforward. Whether you're already here, living maybe in a rented apartment, or still at home in your own country, you'll find the whole process fairly straightforward. I'm going to run through the process that I undertook step by step. I'm going to explain everything, or attempt to explain everything that's involved. And as always in my videos, I have to say, I'm no expert. I'm not trying to provide expertise. I'm just muddling through and sharing my experience and what I've learned along the way to hopefully make these processes for anyone who is already doing or considering doing the type of things that I'm doing or that I've done, and maybe entertain you guys a little bit along the way. And by the way, I'm currently now on my way to what I've been told is a beautiful viewing spot by a lake, which has been recommended to me by my friend Sven to record the rest of the video. And I'm hoping to catch today's sunset. I plan this quite a lot, and I usually miss them, or it's not a good sunset or whatever, so we'll see how this goes, but I want to get it on camera. Alright, so onward and upward. My oh my, this is beautiful, stunning. I love the wilderness.
So many years, too many tears on your face.
all these places that I go to, they're all within 20-25 minutes of my home. Unbelievable. Wait till you see this. Fantastic. And whenever I set out from Villamartin, it's a bit chilly. It's not chilly now, it's beautiful. 4 o'clock, 4 p.m. Only for the fact that there isn't a KFC near here. I would live somewhere like this. Right, time to get back to the subject. I was just thinking, what would I be doing now if I was back home in Northern Ireland? I imagine it's probably raining. I know it's freezing cold. So I'd probably be sitting in the house with the heating up full blast, listening to my favourite music, but dreaming about being here. So if you're thinking about doing this, do it. Oh, can't believe it. Fantastic. Right, so I'm going to start with the most important thing that I learned throughout the whole process. Sorry about the motorbikes, there's motorbikes everywhere. This is like you imagine people racing along here, you know. There was a couple of guys coming around that corner a minute ago, banked over and all, you know, because here we go. Big fast bike, oh my God. He's not that crazy, but crazy enough. On the wrong side of the road, banked down. Right, sorry, where was I? Oh yes, so I'm going to tell you first of all, the most important thing that I learned throughout the whole process. And this is also the thing that wasn't made clear to me in all the videos and research that I've done or watched relating to this subject. But your Spanish solicitor does everything for you. Everything. Or maybe I should say my Spanish solicitor did everything for me. But as far as I'm aware, and from what I've been told by other people who live here, who have done this, they had similar experiences. Solicitors do it all. And anything that requires your input doesn't require you really to think or make any decisions. They're on top of it. They tell you what to do. They'll tell you when you need to do it, where you need to go, what time you need to be there. And I'm sure that for some people, as usual, some people will have had bad experience with their solicitors. Some people it won't be as straightforward, but I imagine for most, people's experience will be similar to mine. And when I say my solicitor did everything, I mean they did everything. From switching my electric and water and refuge to my name and setting up the direct debits for payments, to arranging internet. If you wanted, I didn't actually do that, I did that myself. And I really do wish I had watched videos like this whenever I was making my plans, because I would never have been as daunted as I was. So I'm going to start with a very quick overview of my particular circumstances, my particular situation, leading up to coming to Spain and choosing my property and beginning the process of buying. And almost everything I'm going to say here, in fact, definitely everything I'm going to say here has been covered in my previous videos. So you can go back and have a look if you want, if you wish. Let's get started. I initially came to live here in 2022. I set off from Ireland, squeezing everything that I owned, and my 2 dogs, and me, into my, at the time, 12-year-old Ford, and drove all the way to Murcia. Well, I did take a ferry along the way, you know. I didn't drive the whole way. I had that break, you know what I mean? And when I got to Murcia, booked into a budget hotel, and although I'm usually a great planner, in this instance, I made no fixed plans prior to setting off, although I did know generally what I was intending to do. I'm having to stop here quite often. A lot of motorbikes on this road. A lot of motorbikes. And you always hear them in the distance and I stop and then you have to wait for them to go past, then I have to stop and go back. I was impressed with motorbikes when I got here, and now I want them to all go home, have their dinner. So the first thing I did after having a good night's sleep, I set about finding a rental property. And I found one that I really liked, which was within my budget. And we moved in the next day. I had previously learned that I should apply for my NIE number. So I found an agent who applied for it for me at a small cost. And after attending the police station a few weeks later to get it approved, they handed me an A4 sheet of paper with my number on it. And that was it. And just so you know, your NIE is a foreigner identification number issued by the Spanish authorities, and you need it for lots of things, particularly for any legal activity, among other things. You need it for everything from opening a bank account, having parcels delivered, buying a car, and applying for residency, etc. So it's a must. Now, in saying that, it is important to understand that an NIE number doesn't allow you to reside here, get a residency. You need to follow a process that incorporates your particular circumstances or situation relating to whether or not you are an EU citizen. And that's not something I'm going to get into in this video, other than to say that whether you are or are not a EU citizen, you can apply for your NIE card. Anybody can apply for it. And I think the only criteria is you have to have an address. The apartment I found was in Guardamar, lovely place, just a few kilometres south of Alicante City. I lived there for a wonderful, albeit quiet, year, but I had decided that I wanted to move to Torrevieja once my 12-month contract in the apartment was up, because I found that it was much more conducive to me as a English speaker seeking friendships and stuff, you know. Guardamar was very Spanish, lovely place, but very Spanish. There were English speaking people there, but not very many, and mostly the people that I met were retired. Torrevieja's bubbling, it's alive, there's so much to do all the time. Right, so just as my contract was coming to an end, and I'd already started looking for properties in Torrevieja, unfortunately my dad took ill at home in Northern Ireland, and I decided to drive back home with the dogs and help to take care of him for a while. And I ended up back at home for several months, but sadly my dad eventually passed away in November, end of November, start of December last year, 2023, the year before last. After I'd taken care of all my dad's affairs, I decided it was time to come back to Spain full time. And I made the decision to take the plunge and buy a property in this area. So myself, my very good friend Alan, who was a great help to me, booked a couple of cheap return tickets to Alicante, booked into a budget hotel, and set about searching for a low-cost, suitable apartment for me to buy. And I won't go into the details of that week, but it's all on video. You can watch it, you can go back and watch if you want. But on our last day here, we'd almost given up. We found my way apartment in Villamartin, the perfect apartment for me. Fell in love with it right away, settled on a price with the seller, went to the estate agent's office, signed our reservation contract, which by the way is non-refundable. You can't back out. And that was it. Done. The estate agent gave me the name of 2 lawyers for me to choose from. When I get back, I checked them out online. I settled on one, which is my lawyers in Spain. And the next thing I knew, I received an email from the lawyer thanking me for choosing them. They had attached a few documents for me to sign and had to pay them their deposit. The documents included the power of attorney, which allows them to act on my behalf. And that was it. They said, we'll take care of everything. Don't worry about it. See you when you get here. And I set about making the arrangements for myself, Molly, Buster, my car, to come back over here in the car. I booked the ferry and set off a couple of days later. I'm a very instantaneous sort of person. I decide to do things, I just do them. But it was as simple as that. And I was very fortunate in that several of my subscribers who own property in the area that I was going to buy offered to let me use their property at a reduced rate for the period that I needed while waiting for the contracts to be signed. And I accepted the kind offer of another Northern Ireland fella who's since turned into a friend, Lawrence, and stayed in his lovely place for a month or so. So whenever I arrived back in the area, I was able to drive straight to Lawrence's house. Fantastic, you know. And now, if I hadn't been fortunate enough to be in that situation, to be offered somewhere to stay, I would have just booked back into a budget hotel for the month. It would have cost me a bit more, but that's what I'd have done and just waited. Well, just explored and had a good time for a month. And that really was it. Prior to coming back to Spain, I hadn't even met my solicitor. And by that time, a week or so after choosing the property, the solicitor had the process well underway already. And the day after I arrived, then I went to the lawyer's office and she just explained everything to me. Really, your lawyer here is just keeping you informed of what's going on. You don't have to really do anything. And for that reason, I don't need really to go into much detail about what happened next, because as I said earlier, The solicitor done almost everything and stepped me through anything that I needed to do. She really did take my hand and made the whole process effortless for me. Here's some of the things that they did. The motorbikes are really annoying me. I'm going to let you see. They're driving me crazy. Stop. What a moment I've picked a car. I hope it isn't like this all the time. This beautiful, secluded place. He's a wee slow one. He's the first slow one. Go home and get your flipping dinner. I'm trying to make a video here. Not beautiful? I think I've said that already, but it is. Typically, this is the quietest it's been in a while. You know, you lift the camera up. I'm going to film this. They're driving me nuts. And it's not too bad. Right. Where was it? Yes. So these are most of the things it did for me. On top of the things I've already talked about. They opened a bank account for me. They made an appointment for me to go to the bank and sign for the account. They also explained to me that if I hadn't been an EU citizen or passport holder, they would have applied for a visa for me. Something I don't know much about, but that would apply to any non-EU citizens, such as Brits and Americans. So they would do that for you as well. They appointed and made arrangements with the surveyor. And really the next thing that I had to do was meet the solicitor at the notary's office the day of contract signing and payment, which obviously she arranged as well. So I signed the contract, paid for the apartment, shook a few people's hands, jumped for joy in my head. My new dream life in Spain had really begun that day. So it was a reality and I was so excited, and I still am. I'm still on cloud nine, that's the truth. So happy. Now again, there's no need for me to go into details on costs. I've covered all that in previous videos, other than to say that on average, all the costs, which are all taken care of by your solicitor, all the costs you should expect to pay should be in the region of 12 to 14% of the purchase price of your property. And that includes a 10% tax. Talking about tax in my last video, but that includes a 10% tax of the purchase price and all the notary fees. I was handed my key to the apartment and we moved in an hour later. Fantastic. Electric, water, already turned on. Other things that the solicitor did, which were included in their original quotation, was to, I maybe said this earlier, was to switch all the apartment services into my name. They lodged the property deeds with the land registry. My apartment is in an urbanisation and has a quarterly maintenance fee. They arranged that and set up the direct debit for that. So other than attending a few appointments arranged by my lawyer to provide my signature and replying to a few emails, I had nothing else to do the whole time. After completion, I received a few emails, things that let me know we've now settled this and that's been sorted out and this is sorted out, and I actually got a money back as well, because you pay a little bit extra and for any surplus that's left you get back. And that was it. And to my joy, from the day I agreed a price in the apartment to the day I moved in was less than 6 weeks.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
I'm back at the car. It's taken me so long to record this because of these motorbikes. I keep having to start and stop. My battery died and I've now got my camera plugged in the car. Crazy. And this is, I don't think this is a particularly long video. It's just on, off, on, off, on, off. I definitely didn't pick the right time. You know, I've been to the TT motorbike races in the Isle of Man, and I've been to the Northwest 200 and the Dundrod. Road races. And I've never seen as many bloody people racing motorbikes in my life. Right? So I'm at the end anyway. So, I still want to get the sunset, and it's not too far off happening. So yes, it was all a fairly painless process. In this video, I'm fairly sure I've covered everything I need to cover. But as I've said, if I missed the odd detail, it doesn't matter. My solicitor will have dealt with it. Your solicitor will have dealt with it. From what I hear, the red tape and bureaucracy required in Spain seems to be really excessive and apparently very frustrating, but I haven't really suffered any of it, as I didn't have to really get involved. So I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope some of you will find it useful. I hope it encourages anyone who's fearful of the process to go ahead, because there's just nothing too complicated to worry about. And I'm going to leave it off there. So this should be the last motorbike. It's not. It's definitely not. They're coming from everywhere. Go away. Right, if you did enjoy the video as usual, please give it a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. Love to hear your comments. Hit the bell icon if you want to see more. But until next time, we're going to jump now and have a wee look at the sunset. But until next time, bye for now. Red scat night, shepherd's delight. Isn't that what they say? I'm in heaven. Oh, that's another song. I'm in heaven. I'm in heaven. The Green Mile. Remember that from the Green Mile? Right. So that's it. Bye.